Well, guys, today is the day Disney Plus has graced us with the 8th and final episode of the first season of Willow. I watched all of this show so that you don't have to. And you know what? I'm going to need some reward. This was brutally, groundbreakingly bad. So, Christ, before we pick up where we left off, take a look at my buddies over at calderalab.com, makers of the finest skincare in the Earth realm. Use my promo code FRY15 to save 15% at checkout. So episode 4, not a lot going on here. They just try to cure this guy who got infected by the sickness, that turns you into one of the Crohn's minions. The wannabe sorcerer suitor of Kit, right? But now he's really starting to simp pretty hard for Elora. Episode 5 is probably the worst episode, and it's hard to gauge bad when it comes to Willow. So here we have just an awkward, weird comedy beat with this kind of modern girl punk song playing. Everybody's being chased, and then Willow has a flamethrower. And when asked where did that come from, he says, "Don't worry about it," which means we gave up on explaining anything. To elude these pursuers, they run into this forest that you're supposedly not able to escape. Well, except later they have no issue at all leaving. Group gets captured by essentially Robin Hood's merry men, but they wear skulls. I'm assuming they kill people and use their skull for hats. But skulls don't really work that way because think about it. Your skull is inside your head and then it has all this other stuff around it. So therefore the skull would be smaller than your head. Who are these peoples whose skulls are so huge you can wear them over your head? Of course, the leader of this gang is played by Cynthia from Rugrats. Everybody gets sorted off into different little prison areas with minimal security. This one that Willow gets stashed into has a brownies village, and we meet, two brownies. Rule, Kevin Pollak actually reprising his role, and also at the same time dipping out of this journey. There was such minimal effort to incorporate the brownies into this series. When I said earlier the brownies were nowhere to be seen, that might have actually been better than what we ended up with, which is I'm going to stand here, we have a quick little green screen. I even have a younger daughter now, maybe she'd be capable to join you on the journey, but nah, we're going to just chill here. Don't quite have the budget for brownies joining, so see ya. Since Cynthia here looks a shitload like Jade, they're sisters. And so everybody's freed and they take honesty shrooms, and Kit is now going to confess her feelings to Jade, and they have a kiss, and it's supposed to be a big moment, except they kissed in episode 1, so why is this moment being treated special? Oh yeah, and then trolls show up and snatch Kit and Willow. Episode 6, they go into the trolls of cavern of sorts where they have dwarves or groups mining stuff. I'm not even sure what they needed them to look like they had to mine something. There's also some kind of lava below, but when we get there, it's just like a glass surface with liquid you can even swim in. This is another one of those episodes where clearly everybody gave up on this show. No one expected trolls to talk like hipsters.
Anywho,
there's even a stupid game show they have to go through, and all this to get some kind of treasure and nonsense, and they get this cuirass that was brought up on occasion in previous episodes. I didn't think it was going to play a big part in the series, so I didn't really mention it in my previous video, and I was completely right. It's the cuirass of, will help you kill the underlings you would have killed anyway. Well, you're starting to check in with Prince Eric now a little more. It's interesting that he had so little to do, and he's kept in this barren land that is unpopulated. There's nothing there, so maybe it's so uninteresting they decide not to show us this sooner. There's some substance he has to drink for nourishment because there's nothing else. Oh, also he discovers that there's another prisoner, this gal played by Rosabelle Laurenti Sellers, who is in a jail cell, clearly a nod to Game of Thrones, which means before he released her, I'm assuming she flashed him off camera. Hey, it's Disney, not HBO. Episode 7 is the best episode of the series Relatively. I cannot stress that point enough. Princess Kit had actually fallen into this liquid, and it turned out kind of on the other side of it was Prince Eric, so if they had actually grabbed hands, I guess they could have saved him and the show would have been over. But instead, Elora, does a spell, rescues Kit, and now she is full ginger, which makes me think that the hair dye that turned her blonde was the sole thing hindering her magic. But the group is now at the Shattered Sea that goes on forever, but if you get to the end of it, maybe we'll find Prince Eric. They just happen across some dock, and the guy inside, he might be dead, but he's asleep, but you can kind of tell the difference. And so they chill with this guy to waste some time, and then things get kind of odd because he's talking a bit, and then there's another one of them behind there, and the simp guy, he's like, oh, well, we gotta conk this guy on the head because that's somebody impersonating him. How did you know which one was the dock keeper and which one was one of the crone's baddies? Doesn't matter, let's just hop into this carriage that this creature that sort of swims under the mud surface of... It's actually a fairly cool looking visual. We have a chase, Kit gets a throwing star in the arm, which I enjoyed seeing, and they fight off the attackers. Now they have a lot of time to cross this land, and it looks really cool, honestly, and the visuals are quite good here. We break into a song montage. At this point, with the music that is being used throughout this show, I will kind of allow it. On the whole, a bad decision to incorporate a bunch of songs, but at least Elora requires training, so montage is fine. We get to the end of the Shattered Sea. Kit and Elora are now buddies, I guess, and so they agree to jump off the waterfall, and they survive, and they come across that barren city, and the prince is there, and he has cut his hair, and we know something's amiss because he's wearing black. Yep, he's been seduced by Rosabelle over there. She flashed him, turned him bad. Yep. Episode 8 is kind of our big battle wrap-up. Oh, innocent-looking Rosabelle, who, by the way, I think at, what is she, like 26? And man, she is a rough-looking 26. Clearly, she's the crone. She's putting on some spells, seduce everybody in a fantasy land where you can get what you want. You just got to drink this substance that comes from the worm, a creature that I guess we just didn't have the budget to see. But we're going through the motions here. This is a bunch of nonsense. One of the characters is going to break out of the enchantment, and everybody kind of shows up except Willow's like, nah, I can't go down that waterfall, but ultimately he's there to rescue everybody. Oh, the big Indian guy Borman, he has decided to give the Cuirass to Kit, who activates it, and it's like I said, she would have fought off these guys anyway. I really don't mind the CGI crone effects. It looks fairly good by streaming series standards. Simp gets exploded into another realm, or he looked like he was torn apart to me. Elora goes revenge magic. She doesn't even need a wand anymore. The crone is history, and then it has a dying kiss. It enchants Eric more, and now he's all evil. He's like a deadite. Oh, but of course we're able to save him, and the group now decides to walk back home somehow. Cut to, Simp didn't actually die. He seems to have entered that dream state. Maybe this is the future. I don't know. But it's that vision that Willow had been having, this dire vision of Elora dying in battle. But now we have I'm guessing evil Elora illusion that is like, hey, I'm going to need your help. And we know he simps hard for her, so he's going to be doing that. All while we hear Dire Straits' Money for Nothing. Okay, at least this wasn't a cover song, but again, the use of music and having a soundtrack with pop and rock, it just doesn't fit the fantasy world. Characters talk like they don't give a shit about anything. Throwing around modern day whatevers.
Still not gonna make out or whatever.
I hadn't even thought about it.
No real commitment to which accent we're going with. We have a rather English cast that's doing the American accent. some of them. Aside from the occasional use of actual puppetry, there doesn't really seem to be a lot that honors the original Willow movie. And to make matters worse, we have this hand that's flipping through the pages of the story, you know, at the beginning of each episode, and it's like, wow, so that was volume 1, and we're promising a 2 and 3? I have a feeling this is not going to be renewed. Surely not for 3 seasons. Because who in their right mind watched this? The only audience you have is YouTubers who need to make content about it. But maybe the tonal disconnect, random laziness of the Willow series was designed specifically to appeal to Zoomers. Like, hey look, we know you guys are into no effort, so here's the show that you would have made with your useless liberal arts degree and stay-at-home TikTok girlfriend skill set. Disney Plus's Willow is... well, is it the worst streaming series I've seen? Man, it sucks that that's even debatable.
You just watched a video from my son. He's about 40 and lives in my basement, ladies. So subscriber and notify the bell for ringing. Okay, I said what you wanted me to say. Now do the goddamn dishes.